Once upon a time, a drummer said, "Hey guys,
Check it out.
little did they know that moment, as cheesy as it sounds, but it's true, would change metal forever." The transition from old Pantera to new Pantera, depending who you ask, took anywhere from 1 album to 4 albums. Some might even say that happened instantly, with the gap from power metal to Cowboys from Hell. Music-wise, though, that gap is not as big as you might think, actually. But anyway, is there one song where we can point and tell that's the moment Pantera found their world-shaking sound, the one that shaped metal as we know it? Is it Walk? Or maybe it's Cowboys from Hell? Or Domination? Well, no need to guess, because Pantera themselves told which song marked their turning point.
I mean, Dom looked at each other and went, holy fuck.
That came out of nowhere.
It is the shortest track of the Anselmo era, with a name I still cannot quite figure out. Seriously, asking as a non-native English speaker, what even is a primal concrete sledge? Primal is like the Stone Age or whatever. Concrete is a relatively modern invention, and who makes sledges out of concrete? Right, let's ask AI to visualize that. Okay, it's pretty brutal, but not the sledge I imagined. Now it is metal as hell, even if it's pure concrete. Anyway, Primal Concrete Sledge is a freight train of a song. At just over 2 minutes, it gives you everything you need from a solid metal track. No wonder it became Pantera's concert staple, played live more than the more famous ones from the album, Domination and Cemetery Gates combined. But what does set it apart from the rest of Cowboys and makes it feel more like it belongs on Vulgar, the album where Pantera refined their sound and just feels more modern overall? First, it's general attitude. Without diving into musical nuances, we'll still do that in a moment, it feels like the band is shedding skin and becoming something realer in this one. Anyway, Phil could probably tell that better than I.
We'd been playing the Cowboys from Hell material for like a year and a half before we did the record. Our attitude was much, much more what was coming on Vulgar Display of Power. And it is pivotal that the last song that we wrote for Cowboys from Hell was Primal Concrete Sledge. And it came out of nowhere, and it was a great omen for things to come.
But as far as music goes, Primal Concrete Sledge does something pretty rare for its time. It's polymeter.
Dumbass.
Metal in the 80s was more straightforward in that regard, focusing more on speed and blah, 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 blah. But over the decades it kind of flipped. Nowadays is the domination of complex rhythms. You know, all the prog stuff and jam that was popularized by bands like Meshuggah in the 2000s. And guess what? Dimebag and Company were doing it all the way back to 1990. That is the time when the Soviets still existed. On the song in question. That's 4/3, that is where the drums play in 4 and the guitar chugs in 3. And because of that, the offset is accumulating over the course of several measures. But within those several measures, if you trip over, everything will fall apart. So you gotta be focused. The good thing the bass is playing all the 16ths along the kick drum. And what's cool too is that before the verse, the riff does not reset, so it starts just right in the middle of the resetting thing. So Phil also has to be really careful where to start his lines. And also notice that the overhead, the China or whatever, is playing on the offbeat, making the count even more confusing. And on top of that, or beneath that, the meat of the beat, the tom pattern, is syncopated. And that's actually where the main guitar riff derived from. And yeah, the whole thing in general started not from the guitar riff, as usually, but from the drum riff by Vinnie Paul.
Big, huge room. But Vinny starts playing this beat, in this primal concrete sledge. Me and Dom looked at each other and went, holy fuck. Didn't matter what tuning we were in, it just had to be drop D. And there it went. As they're trying to tear this stuff down and get the fuck out.
Dimebag was just going, dun, 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 dun. That's all he was doing. And I knew it was cool. I was like, hey, you know. And then Vince dropped in. It's that syncopated tom snare drop. And it was more than cool. It was more than just a little chunk. It was a beast. And I swear, I think that every bit of that song was written right on the spot.
And by the way, I've got to give props to Revolver because this is the rare case when the dude does know his shit. He knew all the Pantera songs and even backed Phil when he forgot one.
Which could be the next song I'm into. It's coming. Yeah. You tell me, it's system destroyed, exposed, unemployed, but not demons be slaughtered. Slaughtered. Okay.
Just imagine that happening with some oblivious, clueless guy who doesn't know who he's talking about.
James Hetfield, the singer. Yeah.
So thank you, Revolver. Thank you, Jimmy, for these chill, insightful, cool interviews with the legends we still have. And now back to the primal concrete polyrhythmia. Yeah, it sounds not too complex, almost primal as for the present day, but that's the blueprint that then would be developed to extremes by, again, Meshuggah and other groove prog bands. And not long after Cowboys, actually, say, Destroy, Erase, Improve, which is kind of proto-gent, was released in 1995. This is one of those times where a seemingly simple trick would lay the foundation for the whole genre. Like it happened with, say, The Gallop, which started as just a nuance in a few songs from the 70s, but look at what it's become. And since we have mentioned Meshuggah, is the drummer Thomas Hake, who mostly figures out the polymeters there. And it all began with Vinnie Paul's insane beat in Primal Concrete Sledge. Maybe it's no coincidence that the drummers invented this sound because they have the most visceral feel for rhythm or something. But so who knows? Maybe your drummer too has a beat that would revolutionize metal. So let them have a say sometimes. Of course, there may have been lesser known tracks before Primal that did something similar. Maybe the shift from straightforwardness to non-linear, whatever, rhythms like polymeter was just in the air, with several bands arriving to it independently. What do you think? But there's more cool stuff about Primal Concrete Sledge besides that. As I told you, whatever you point at in that song, you can put the adjective on it, such as the breakdown. Both of them. Shit's real when a breakdown has its own breakdown. Yeah, technically, the first one is just a halftime bridge, but the one that's following it is the real one, for it has a build-up which is a must for a part designed for moshing.
Raise some goddamn hands up one more time tonight.
Breakdowns were also a novelty in metal at that time. It was more of a hardcore thing, and we've got several in Cowboys, Domination being the kind of default one that everyone thinks of first. It was written earlier, they played it in the late 80s alongside most of what became Cowboys from Hell. Although Primal is higher on the track list, so most people would hear it before Domination. But anyway, it so amazes me how Pantera managed to squeeze so much of cool stuff, including kinda 2 breakdowns in a song that's as long as some Metallica intros. And overall, once again, this track is like a soup of multiple styles of the past and more of the future. The verse is kinda proto-gent prog, the chorus is pretty punkish, and the Pantera breakdowns is what actually influenced modern metalcore. And of course, some of the classic 80s still kicking ass there. But let's go back to the first bridge, because this is to me the real highlight of the track. Of all the riffs is the most fucking guest. It's so damn short. Just comprehend it. In the entire history of the universe, and in all the songs ever written, this badass riff appears only in one song, Primal Concrete Sledge, and it's played there just 2 times. And I guess this is the one that Phil is talking about.
The little midsection, little breakdown section, that little midsection riff, that was like one of these guitar parts that Dimebag would have. And he would play them for me over and over and over. 10 different ways, the same riff. And I'd always be like, oh, no. And then finally, it fits beautifully. And he's like, I told you so.
And we forgot about one important thing about the song and Pantera in general, it's bass. This video, just like with the previous few, was inspired by me exploring the bass part. And what a surprise! All the Primal Concrete Sledge bass stuff that I found turned out wrong. So I had no other choice but to transcribe it myself, trying to isolate the bass with the help of AI. The result was not as quality as I had hoped, but at least we could figure out some vague bits, such as that badass bridge where Rex plays something on his own, not just following guitar or drums. And also I played the song in standard D, not drop D as the song is, and Rex Brown said they were in drop D when this song came to them. And for most of the song it doesn't matter because it's all about the lower string, but the bridge has something on the 3rd string and it'd be awkward to play in drop D. So maybe in the studio Rex recorded it in standard for positions. And live, there's little quality live footage of Primal despite it being played hundreds of times literally, but I believe the result was still pretty good and you can download it via the link in the description. And also shout out to that bar in 9/8, if I didn't mention it I would not sleep. If you enjoyed this video, you can support me via the links in description. Thanks for watching and see you next time, friends.
Jingle bells.